Alright then, welcome. She smiled broadly. Strange, it looked as if I had just a normal girl in front of me. Bah! I shouldn't have returned here. The woods and fields seemed better. But what shall I do next? Try to speak with her as if she was a human, or run away, or whatever? The blood was pumping unbearably in my head, tearing it apart from the inside. A little bit more, and the poor pioneer girl would be splattered with the hideous contents of my skull. What's funny about that? The girl gazed over me. It sent shivers down my spine, and my knees started to tremble. Nothing. Great then. Great. What's great about that? Suddenly I felt like letting it all be. The bus behind me, the winter yesterday and the summer today. Take off the itchy pullover and just believe that it was all real, that it was all meant to be, and that it all at last was for the better. And you must probably know. You should go to our camp leader. She'll tell you everything. Look, you go straight ahead to the square, then turn left and you'll see small cabins. She pointed at the gates, as if I knew what was behind them. Um, well, you can ask someone where Olga Dmitrieva's cabin is. Dmitrievna is the patriotic derivative of a person's father's name, in this case, Dmitri. Put in by Russians out of the person's first name as a sign of respect or formal address. I, got it? Of course I didn't. And I got to go. The girl waved her hand at me and disappeared behind the gates. It seemed as if for her I was something ordinary. And all this show with the bus, and the travels in waking or sleeping were troubling only me, while here everything was just like it was supposed to be. Camp leader, pioneer uniform, are they making a historical reconstruction here? I hope I wouldn't find Lenin standing atop of an armored car at the square. Why not? Lenin would be pretty cool. But even that would not surprise me right now. After standing alone for a while, I headed into the camp. A mere 50 meters ahead, a small one-story house that popped up on the left side. The billboard near the store said clubs. I was about to come closer. Oh gosh, it scared me. When the door suddenly opened and a short girl wearing a pioneer uniform came out. Her pretty face gave me an impression of bearing a torment for the fate of the whole mankind with a truly universal sorrow. As soon as she saw me, the girl froze, as if frightened. I froze too, considering what was best to do, to approach first or wait until she showed some initiative, or maybe run away after. Although this last option was constantly suggested only by my self-preservation instinct. At least that's what I'd like to believe. Not the worst human instinct, but one far from being the most logical. If this instinct played poker against deductive abilities, the result would be predetermined, and those deductive abilities, or at least for their semblance, were hinting me that there was no need to be afraid of this girl. Suddenly, somebody jumped out of nearby bushes. A girl wearing a bright red t-shirt with USSR written on it. Okay. Such exact reproduction of the age. She looked quite short from the distance and was probably younger than both pioneer girls at the gates and this girl at the door of the clubs. What the heck is this music? At last I decided to come closer, but the USSR, as I called her in my mind, jumped to the first girl and started telling something while sawing the air. The other girl, in turn, seemed confused, looked down, and made no reply. I would have probably continued to observe their amusing dialogue, but the USSR suddenly pulled something out of her pocket and started shaking it in front of the girl's face. That something turned out to be a grasshopper. Yee. Okay, I'm uncomfortable. Squealed the first girl. She must not be too keen of insects, as she instantly turned towards where Lenin presumably made a speech about the accomplished workers' and peasants' revolution. That's to say, towards the square. The USSR glanced at me, grinned playfully, and dashed after her. Not a bad start of the day. I have absolutely no clue where I am. Besides that, there are some kids here, role-playing pioneers, and as far as I can tell, this place is located thousands of kilometers away from my home. It might even be a different reality. And this was indeed a reality. I mean, everything around me seemed so real. if a little embellished, that I was starting to fall into thinking that, in fact, my previous life could have been just a dream. And what should I do now? I was picking the cracks in the tiles which paved the pathway and stared aimlessly at the club's building. Just a few more seconds before I had to come up with some decision. That's when I recalled myself rolling on the grass, weeping. I cringed in disgust. Perhaps it's another instinct. When all energy for whimpering and self-pitying is used up, the body either goes into hibernation or mobilizes its reserves. Mine seemed to have chosen the second option, because out of the blue, I got this determination to figure out what was going on. And in order to do that, I had to act like a man, like a human, to maintain the dignity of a representative of my own world. I followed the path, to the left and to the right of which stood small cabins, apparently homes of the local pioneers. Actually, they looked quite cozy from the outside. Even though I was born in the Soviet Union, I have never been part of this children organizations, neither the pioneers nor even the young October children. Sounds like a horror movie, October children. I imagine the daily life of a typical pioneer camp a bit differently. Huge barracks with long rows of metal bunks, wake-up call at 6 o'clock, played by a siren. 1 minute to make your bed, then joining formation at the drill square. Or wait, could I be confusing it with something else? I was suddenly hit on the back. I staggered but remained on my feet, turned around and prepared to become a hero on while fighting for my life. But all I found was another girl standing before me. My mouth hung open in surprise. "Pick your jaw up off the floor." I closed my mouth. Same pioneer uniform, but it looked, let's say, provocative the way she was wearing it. Like all the girls I had met here before, this one was rather cute, but her overly arrogant expression killed any desire to get to know her better. "So you're new here? Fine, see ya." She dashed a threatening glance at me and walked past. Why? So I think this is another dating sim. I waited for the pioneer girl to turn at the corner. Who knows what else she might have been up to. The most interesting thing was that even this hostile girl seemed completely normal to me. She did not give the feeling of some deadly danger. Except maybe the danger of getting punched in the nose. Ha ha ha. At last I managed to make it to the square. There is no Lenin or on an armored car, although one could really expect something like that after all that happened. Instead, however, a monument to a certain comrade towered in the middle of the square. The letters of the pedestal read Genda. Must be some big figure of the party. There were some small benches on the sides. It's quite cozy here. Where did that girl tell me to go? To the left or to the right? To the left, to the right, This is gonna make me choose. And why am I going there anyway? Alright, I decided to pretend to be normal. So, to the right. Through a small grove. I walked to a pier. I must have taken a wrong turn. Oh, wrong way. I turned towards the voice. That first girl stood before me. I did tell you to turn left from the square. Where have you gone? She changed from her pioneer uniform into a bikini. Oh, I still haven't introduced myself. My name is Slavia. Actually, the full name's Slavanya, Slaviana, but everyone calls me Slavia. So can you, Yi. I still felt a bit confused, so I could not come up with more meaningful answers. And what's your name? It felt like she could see right through me. Yi, Simon. Nice to meet you, Simon. Alright, I'm almost done here. Could you wait here a minute? I'm going to change, and we'll go to Olga to finish together. Agreed? Agreed. She ran off after these words. I sat on the pier, letting my feet hang in the water. I was wearing heavy winter boots, but in such weather, there was nothing wrong in getting my feet wet. Furthermore, it let me cool myself a little. Looking at the river, I was brainstorming and processing everything that has happened. If this is some kind of conspiracy, it is a weird one, even too friendly at times. No, it really looks more like a random event, some entirely incomprehensible random event. Shall we go? Slavia was standing beside me, dressed in pioneer uniform again. Let's go. I've been here for a very short time, but all the people I've met, she looks the least suspicious.